Hi guys, so we are now on to the second unit of our personal finance course. This is the second of two units. So the first unit was money management. It had four tasks in total, and the second unit is understanding money, and it has five tasks in total. So slightly bigger unit, but we have been progressing at quite a good pace so far. So this first task is all about basically money security. So we're going to look at firstly financial fraud and scams, then look at security precautions, particularly in banking, and activity three is about credit ratings, which you will have seen the adverts about, affecting your credit score, credit ratings. We're going to look at factors that actually affect that. Okay, the first task, activity one, is on financial frauds and scams. Now, this is something that we all really need to be constantly aware of, that unfortunately there are many people in the world who are always looking to scam vulnerable people like yourselves, young people, and like older people, and people that are maybe not that experienced with money, or just a bit more susceptible to scams. There are always going to be people that try and unfortunately take money, steal money off these people. So you need to be well aware of the kind of tricks of the trade and how you can protect yourself. Okay, so there are various ways in which your bank accounts, credit, debit cards can be targeted by criminals. So these are a few of them here. So it would be worthwhile for you to copy these definitions down. So if you need to pause the video, that's fine, but I would like you to copy these definitions down so you know what they mean. So simple card theft. Now, that may have happened to some of you already. It's quite literally just where a person's credit or debit card is stolen and is used by the thief to make purchases. You may have seen some of the adverts these days for some of the mobile banking companies that you can actually freeze your card. You may have heard that term before, freezing your card. Well, that's what you would do if you lose your card or if it's stolen. You freeze it, means that card becomes unusable. You can actually sometimes do this in an app these days. So it means if somebody steals it, usually you would have to phone the bank and say, can you freeze my card? But now actually you can do it within an app, which is very handy. Card not present is where a person's card details have been stolen, i.e. your card number, your sort code, your security number, and the card is used to make purchases online or by phone. So hopefully, this doesn't happen to you, but if your card is stolen and you haven't frozen it in time, somebody could use that to buy things online. And you might think, well, hold on, they don't know my PIN number. Well, you don't need your PIN number to buy things online. So they could buy thousands of pounds worth of goods online. They could buy a flight to Jamaica online and they wouldn't need to know your PIN number. They just need the details in your card. So that's what the card not present means. Skimming is a term used where when you're actually at an ATM, basically a hole in the wall, it's fitted with a device that reads and saves a person's card details. So you should always, every single time you go to lift money, there's a few things you should do at an ATM. You should always have a quick look about and see if there's anything within that, hole in the wall, if there's anything a bit dodgy. If you see a little device or a little camera, then you should definitely not use it and you should report that to the bank or to the police. So that's what skimming is where it scans and reads your card details. Identity theft is quite simply where your personal information is used to set up another type of kind of financial product. So your name, address, date of birth is used to set up a bank account or a credit card, and that person could run up debt in your name. You could take out loans which you would have to pay back. That's what identity theft is. That can be quite a damaging one, actually, if that is to happen to you. Phishing, not with an F, that's with a PH. Phishing is where person is emailed a link to a fake website and asks for credit card or debit card details. Now, you may have received some of these scam emails. I actually got one last year saying that a friend, a kind of family friend, was in Colombia and needed me to transfer them some emergency money, and it sounded very believable, and they do sound very believable, these kind of emails. Sometimes there will be a link on it. Don't ever click this link. If you don't know where that emails came from and there's a link there, you do not ever click it, because could be a virus, or it could take you to a fake website where they will then potentially steal your credit card details. So do not ever pay for anything over the phone, online, if you don't know where it came from. You may have seen some, and phishing is the telephone equivalent. So you've got phishing, you've got vishing. So it's where a scammer phones someone pretending to represent a legitimate business, i.e. your bank, and tries to obtain personal information. Okay, so if your bank should never really phone you, but if they do phone you, they will never ask you for any of your card details. So do not ever give over your card details or any sort of personal information over the phone. Okay, I want you to be skeptical. I want you to challenge them if they're asking you for details. I want you not to just say, "Oh yeah, okay, here you go." No, you challenge them and say, "Who is this? Why do you want these details?" etc. Because so many people get scammed, unfortunately, through phishing and vishing and all sorts of things. So it's really, really important that you're kind of looking at everything with a wee bit of a kind of cynical, skeptical eye. Okay, so that's kind of different. There's a lot of different definitions there of things that can unfortunately go wrong, ways that people can steal your money. And the first activity that you actually have to do is kind of putting some of these together. So think of actions you could take to reduce the opportunity for criminals to defraud you. So you're looking for ways that you can keep yourself safe, basically. So make a list of the precautions that people should take and try to mention the following words and phrases. So I want you to mention 4 kind of sentences of things you can do that are based around these 4 statements here. So we've got shredding, covering your hand, secure passwords, delete messages. So if I'm gonna start you off by writing one statement that we can use for shredding, okay? But I want you to basically write a statement for the other 3 things, okay? And then maybe something else that you think of that you could do that isn't covered by these 4 words, okay? So the first word is, as I say, shredding. So what I'm going to say is that any letters or documents, so copy this one down with me, please. So any letters or documents that are disposed of should be shredded. I know it's not the exact same word, but it's a similar thing. So any letters or documents that are disposed of should be shredded so that nobody can use your personal information. Such as your name. I mean, it might seem like that's not very much, but your name is your personal information and it should be kept private. Your name, your address, your date of birth. Okay, there are companies that spend millions of pounds just on ways of acquiring people's personal data, their personal information. Okay, it's very valuable to some people, so to criminals, for setting up accounts in your name for identity theft, but also, just in general, it's very valuable to people. So don't let anyone have that information. Okay, now I don't have a shredder in my house, but what you can do is you just rip up any letter. So for example, like a bank statement that comes to your house, it will have your name, your address, on the front of it, maybe your account number. Okay, that's really personal, sensitive information. So if you don't have an actual shredder in your house, you just rip up the page in enough pieces so that nobody can get that information, in one sheet of paper. That's what you need to do. So anything like that, you shouldn't just put the letter in the bin. You should make sure that you shred it in half, or shred it into 2 or 3 bits through the kind of information that you want to get rid of. Okay, so that's one statement on shredding. I would like you now to make some statements for yourself on covering your hand, secure passwords to delete messages. So we can just talk about them. So covering your hand, that is going to be related to when you're at an ATM taking out money. What should you do with cover? Why should you cover your hand? Why is that important? Secure passwords, obviously for online accounts, which I'm sure all of us have. Why they will often ask you for a secure password. Well, why do they ask you for a secure password? What is the benefit of having, a secure password? So write something to do with that. And deleting messages is the last one. Okay, so something, like if you see an email or you get a text message that you think is really dodgy and it's got a weird link in it and it just doesn't look right. What should you do with that message? Should you let that message stay in your device to maybe have a virus that goes through it, or should you make sure you delete that message? So there's kind of 3 things to start you off on these, and if there's anything else you can think of that will help your kind of security, financial security, then please write it down as well. Okay, so that's your task for the rest of it, is write me down 3 further statements, at least 3 further statements using these 3 bits of information.